Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages. My name is Combat Bird, and this is Let's Get Physical, the series where I go over my favorite physics games, or the ones you all recommend to me. This is Descenders. Descenders is a procedurally generated off-road biking game where your goal is to reach the finish line with as much style as possible. That is, if you can reach the finish line at all. The game will start you off with a basic course, nothing too fast, nothing hard to control, and the option to just ride around any obstacles you don't think you can handle. Once you've crossed the finish line, you're then prompted with a menu where you can select which area you'd like to go next. Your goal is to reach the boss level, so you can choose to go with something easier just to progress, or you can go for something harder that will have a higher score, extra health, or sponsorships. You'll even get the occasional special track where you might have to ride in a storm or even play the level in first person. Now let's say you finally made it to the boss, and maybe you were even able to not get absolutely obliterated by the insane jump that it has to offer. You're now ready to take the training wheels off, and Descenders will show you no mercy as you head straight into the forest. That's right, you finally made it this far and you are immediately thrown into a brick wall. But that's where the beauty in Descenders really comes from. It's incredibly easy to pick up and have a good time with, and yet it's surprisingly difficult to master. I know this might sound crazy, but the best comparison I can think of is Dark Souls. You might start off barely able to scrape by, but just by playing, you quickly begin to improve. And before you know it, you're flying through the game. Descenders gives me the same feeling. I never felt like I was crashing because the game was unfair, but instead because I needed to improve, which just kind of happens by playing. Now, each area is not only really cool looking, but they all kind of play to specific styles, and will help you improve on the individual mechanics. Forest has a ton of sharp turns and really focuses on control, while something like Canyon has an emphasis on speed, and by extension, landing from massive air. Seriously, my stomach dropped from some of the jumps in this area. And then Peaks, well, that's kind of the end game. It'll test every skill you have. You might finally feel like you're getting good at the game, and then boom, O&S come out of nowhere, and you're gonna be here a while. I should mention, by the way, you start the game with 3 health, and can gain additional health by either choosing medic levels, which give you a bonus health for completion, or by doing any of the bonus objectives. These can be as simple as, say, land a front flip, or as sadistic as don't let go of the acceleration once. Something that is incredibly difficult to do. Also, by playing well, you'll generate rep, which not only functions as the score system for online leaderboards, but also as a way to gain crew members during your run. You see, while it may be a bit of a stretch, Descenders is almost a roguelike. Crew members you acquire can do things such as reduce the amount of stunts you run into, or even do things like help survive harder landings. Mix this with the procedural generation, boss tracks, and random unlocking of items, even though they're aesthetic, and we're pretty close. Luckily, unlike a traditional roguelike, there are pretty solid checkpoints that allow you to practice. Once you've beaten an individual area's boss and the bonus objective 3 times, you can start your next run in that area. This can really help with learning what to expect from each area without having to start from square one every time. However, using these checkpoints won't count towards you being a true Descender. Your main goal should be to finish all 4 of the main areas without crashing a single time. It's a difficult feat, and I've yet to do it at all, honestly. But I keep coming back, improving all the time. Okay, those are the key points of Descenders, but there are a couple of other things that the game does really well, and a few other points I'd like to mention. Firstly, the soundtrack is absolutely killer. Unfortunately, you'll have to take my word for it, as I don't want to get hit with copyright, but the music selection honestly couldn't have been better. It's all fully licensed and made by true professionals. Second, the replay system, as hopefully you saw earlier, is amazing, and is what allowed me to make those montages from earlier in the video. It's really simple to use, but doesn't lack much advanced functionality for those who want it. And lastly, I just want to point out how much appreciation I have for the folks over at Rage Squid. The game is still in early access, but this is a perfect example of a game that can benefit from it. And instead of just dropping the game or ignoring requests, they really do put a ton of time and effort into making the game better all the time. From seasonal updates that make the game feel more special to the recently released multiplayer beta. And for only $25, it's a steal, and I highly recommend it. Alright, That is it for today's video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.